Hello, everybody. This is Crypto Professor Girl. Welcome to my channel. It is devoted to decentralized finance and cryptocurrency. And today we have our fourth installation of Women in DeFi series. And we have three speakers that very kindly volunteered to come on the stream. We got DeFi Diva from Crypto Unlimited 22. We
Hi.
also Hi, how are you doing?
What's up? How are you?
Great, thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yay. Thank you, DeFi Diva. DeFi Diva is actually a half of a couple, right?
What's
Johnny
that?
Foster, I'm saying you're half of the couple, right?
Yeah.
The partner is in the background.
Right. You're cutting out a little bit there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
And then we got Big Beauty from Motivation Money. Welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm really excited about being here, and I think it's going to be a pretty epic show.
And then we have our veteran. I think it's okay to call Irene veteran because I think she's been on my streams and she's been on other streams with me multiple times. So she's the veteran of Women in DeFi.
Thank you for making me feel old. That's okay. I am old, so it's all right. I'll own it. Yes, I guess you could call me a veteran. I like to talk, and that makes me good for live streams, I guess.
Yes, well, thank you for everybody who is joining us here. And so I was thinking, since we have some new guests, right, and we're doing Women in DeFi, I just wanted people maybe to give a chance to tell their story in DeFi. So we are going to start with our new guests. I guess DeFi Diva, if you're okay,
Sure.
starting.
Absolutely. Yeah? So,
okay.
Hi, everybody. My name's DeFi Diva. Me and my husband run a YouTube channel called Crypto Unlimited 22, and his name is Johnny Fawcett. And a little background. So, I want to say it was in 2021 when I got into Robinhood, right? So that was my first experience, just kind of learning a little bit on my own. Me and Johnny Fawcett, we didn't have any help from anybody. We just kind of said, all right, we heard about this Robinhood app. They had crypto on there. So we kind of looked around on there and I had some stocks and stuff. I did purchase Dogecoin and Bitcoin at that time, but I just held it on Robinhood. So this is before, I got into everything. And then we had a group called the 315 Crypto, and it's a local group that they sold NFTs. And that was around about November 2021. And at that point, they got us set up with MetaMask, which was awesome because then I'm like, wow, this is I felt like the energy, because they had this big group and everybody was talking about all blockchain and, and I didn't know nothing about it. Right. So at that point, me and Johnny, we were just blown away. We're like, wow, we want to learn more. So we ended up buying an NFT for this membership, had our MetaMask set up. I think it was January of 2021 is when we got introduced to Drip. So the Eternal Cryptoptimus, he's a whale. I'm sure you guys heard of him. He's the one that got us into Drip. And I was blown away right off the bat. I was like, this is awesome. And I just wanted to learn more after that. So then we started watching YouTube videos, right? Just dove right in and we just we wanted to know everything at that point. And then DeFi, I felt like was like a whole community, right? And we're just like, we got on Telegram, and it just like, it opened up this world of just like, let's learn more and more and more. And we met so many nice people along the way. It's just been a great journey ever since. And that's pretty much how I got into DeFi. After that, we got into a couple other ones like Furio, Splassive, which didn't do too well either, and then ArcFi is our latest one. And then also I'm like holding too, so I'm dollar cost averaging in, getting ready for the bull market. I got a little Bitcoin, Ethereum. I got Quant, Crypto.com, Matic, and Avalanche. And I'm just, just little by little, just dollar cost averaging in. Because when we got into Drip, it was at the top. So that's when, it wasn't really a good time to kind of really buy coins and this, that, and the other. So now it just gives us a chance, like we kind of learned, and we have a little bit more education now, so it's a lot more makes sense now, and that's pretty much it, and then I love Drip, I love DDD, like that was awesome. I've already been playing, and it's great. I love it. I love being in DeFi.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, DeFi.
Thank you.
Great. That was a really good story.
Thank you.
Yeah, quite amazing. So Big Beauty, can you tell us your story?
Of course.
Thank you.
Right. So my channel, I started that probably about 2 years ago, and I started out in the silver niche, and this is like before I even got into crypto, but starting my YouTube channel is what led me into crypto, because I started hearing things on YouTube about it, so it just led me down this rabbit hole of more research and more research. And then finally I discovered that you could, invest in these coins and you could potentially make profits, which I didn't know what I was doing at the time. And so I wasn't making anything then. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I had no clue. I was like brand new to this stuff. So I kept researching, and eventually I found out that you could make money on these dApps. And a lot of the ones that I found at first were definitely scams. And it's a learning process. I was learning how to like look at the contracts and the ether scan to see if there's money in the contract, to see if it's legitimate and things like that. And then you just keep going on and doing your research and finding things that are working in the DeFi space. So then I eventually found Baked Beans, which was my first successful DeFi project, and I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. Like, I think I got in like when it was at like 1,200 BNB, and I rode it all the way up. And at my highest point, I was making 2 BNB a day. So at that time, BNB was about $400. So I was like, this is totally awesome. And it was exciting because it was like heading towards the end of the bull run. And so we had these projects that come out, and of course a lot of them were like the crappy like shit forks and things like that, and I lost money doing that. Had success in Crops Farmers. That was another good one. That was like a whole paycheck for me a year ago. And I discovered Drip later on, and it was at $100. So I started out with 10 Drip. And so long story short, with that, I rode my way down in the bull market, and I DCA'd, and I kept adding funds, and now I have 1,100 in my faucet. And so I feel like this journey has been amazing. It's definitely a learning process. So if you're new, it can be very confusing, especially like learning all the networks and the things like that, and just knowing the things that are legit and being able to like identify like good communities, that sort of thing, because if none of these things add up, then it's going to call for a disaster. So, I'm just very thankful that I learned about these things early on, and I'm really glad that I found Drip when I did, because this has been like the best adventure ever. And it's even more better sharing it with amazing ladies as you guys. So I'm very excited to be here in this space with each and every one of you.
Can anyone else not hear?
Oh, I'm sorry. That was my fault. Yeah, I was just saying that the sentiment is the same, Big Beauty. The sentiment is the same. So we are also very glad to have you here and to be with you. And please, if you let me do a plug here, if you have not explored yet, please go ahead and check out channels. Please check out the Crypto Unlimited 22 by DeFi Diva and her partner, Johnny Fawcett. And also please check out the Motivation Money channel by Big Beauty. Please like, please subscribe. Please watch some of their videos. So support those women in DeFi. And now we have Irene. Irene said that I made her feel old, but she's young and she's young in looks, but she's old in DeFi. She's like very wise whale, very wise OG. So this is my brief introduction. Irene, I know, like I said, you introduced yourself multiple times, but if you can do that again for us, maybe for new people who are joining.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I start, can we just have a quick look at the chat? We have some big names in the chat. Ants Girl, Josh is there, Electrician Man, Driptopian. This is DeFi Crypto Boss. This is a good chat. We've got a lot of people that are great in there. Okay. So where do I start? Someone called me a bank robber, which I much prefer to veteran. I am actually trying to rob the banks. I'm trying to unbank myself, so it's very fitting. The reason I am semi-cloaked is because I have a business in real life, and I will not dox myself until I've sold that business. So I've worked in technology for 25 plus years, various roles, all the way from analyst to running an enterprise software company. That's the one I'm trying to sell. It's very close. Can't wait to take the wig and the glasses off because they're super annoying. I've always really been very passionate about staying up to date with emerging tech, analyzing how it impacts current processes from governments, corporates, all the way down to the everyday lives of people. I got into the market in 2017 when a friend introduced me to Bitcoin mining, and I was pretty much hooked from there. I did set up a Bitcoin and Ethereum miner. I didn't set it up, but it was set up off-site and I invested into it. It was meant to be a lifetime miner, but shortly after the bear market came and the fees outpaced the earnings and they shut the miners down. I still got a little bit of Bitcoin and Ethereum from that, and I hodled it all the way through, and a pretty atrocious bear market where nothing was happening. And I've still actually got that Bitcoin and Ethereum. This is my second bear market. And I think when you've been through a previous bear market, it does give you a perspective that others may not have. And I can tell you that this bear market is very, very different to the last bear market, which was very boring. There was no real DeFi back in that market, and it was very difficult to make money. You just had to accumulate for the bull market. So I have some unique understandings of like the concerns and fears involved in investing in crypto, especially when you go from a bull to a bear. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of feelings there. There's also a lot of desperation around everything's died. And, people don't generally understand market cycles. So they don't understand that, there will be another bull market. So in 2020, I actually was very fortunate to be able to join an organization that it's a crypto education and consultancy business. And so I joined there as a coach, and we focus primarily on education, and then we curate opportunities for our students to be able to invest safely, especially if they're just investing for the first time. I mostly work in the DeFi space. We have other people who work across the other elements of crypto and blockchain, but I'm not limited to DeFi in any way, shape or form. I've got blue chip portfolio, and I've invested in nearly every aspect of the space: metaverse, NFTs, more mining, asset-backed tokens, you name it. A lot of people assume I bought in the pre-sale of DRIP. I did not. I bought at the high of that year, which I think was around 50 USD, and then it went down to like $4. And I DCA'd all the way up and all the way back down again. So I may seem like an OG, and people call me an OG, but I'm actually not. But I think people just assume I've been here forever, which is fine. So as part of my formal role, and also doing things like this, and thank you CPG for giving us this outlet, I'm looking to assist people to learn more about crypto, more about DeFi, but especially more about the potential of blockchain technology and how that's actually going to affect our lives. Crypto is just one aspect of blockchain. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I see a lot of people with short-term price action aspirations around cryptocurrency, but I like to think that I came for the profit, and then I'm staying for the innovation and the way that this space is going to change very rapidly. My partner is the one that found DRIP, and since then, obviously, everything has changed for us with regards to our dedication and passion for DeFi. His handle is Vegemite Sandwich. You've probably seen him around. He gets all the credit for getting us into DRIP. And that's pretty much my journey.
Thank you so much, Irene. I think I said this, but I would like to say this again for all our new viewers, is that I'm just really impressed that you were able to integrate your personal investment with the career in crypto and blockchain. I think this is definitely something that a lot of people aspire to, and a lot of people are interested, but I think very few people actually manage to create a career like that for themselves, where they are actually like, your personal investment is DeFi in crypto and your career is DeFi in crypto. This got to be very, and it seems like you're very passionate about blockchain and technology. So this is something that you enjoy, like your whole life is enjoyment. I'm a little bit jealous.
Yeah, I'm very, very lucky. And what I will say is that, I didn't start off in that formal role. So anyone who's doing anything at the moment that's not their actual profession, because crypto is full-time, even if it's your side piece, right? So anyone who's doing that, as we go on, these sort of jobs are going to become more prevalent, and more people are going to be involved and be able to be paid as their everyday job working in crypto. But I'm so lucky because I have some of the brightest people working with me, people who have the skills that I don't around assessing projects and looking at tokenomics and looking through contracts, developers, researchers. I have a very good team that I work with, and they teach me something new every day. And I'm very fortunate to be able to have this be one of my full-time jobs at the moment, hopefully my only one in a few months' time.
Okay, thank you, Irene. I kind of thought maybe we will touch up on this comment, passive income might. So, and like how you mentioned, like holding, looking at the contracts, doing research. It's very funny because a lot of people equate decentralized finance and being in these protocols as kind of like doing nothing or passive income, like you just got in and then you just collect money every day, which is not true at all, right? We kind of feel how much actually time, even if it's just a hobby, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. Do you guys have any thoughts in terms of kind of like broader picture in terms of where do you feel that the space is going? So all of us are women in DeFi, and like Irene said, she came for technology, for innovation, and stayed for the money. A lot of people come for the money and stay for innovation. Some people come for the money, stay for the money. It's of course varies. But like, what do you guys think in terms of this space, in terms of the future of the space? Maybe we'll start again with DeFi Diva.
I feel that we got to get the education out. That's, you know what I mean? That's first. I feel like it's going to grow, right? And the more people understand it, the more people they're going to want to get into it. And I think sooner or later it's going to catch on like wildflower, and it's just going to explode, right? And then everybody's going to be talking about it. So I mean, it's come a long way, and I feel like Drip has paved that road, right, to show, other platforms kind of like what to do, what not to do, right? And as far as Drip, I mean, Forex got it right. He made something that's been here for 2 years, which is incredible, right? And I just feel that he's going to keep going, and I know he's going to give us more, and it's going to be just a lifelong journey, and it's something that I'm part of, and I'm so happy that I wish I got in at 2017, because it was funny. Back then I was working somewhere, and a girl came up to me, and she was just like, yeah, my boyfriend just bought me some Bitcoin for my birthday. And back then I'm like, I had no idea what it was all about, right? But I wish, like Irene, I wish that I got in back then, because now I was just like, I just feel like I'm almost playing catch up a little bit, but it's awesome. And I just think that, the more we educate, the more people get in, it's just going to grow and be huge.
Yep. Yeah. Everyone wishes they got in earlier. I wish I got in 2011. And the funny thing is, it was just a complete gut thing. I didn't know anything about crypto. It just had just gone off my radar. I just missed it completely. I was doing a lot of other stuff at the time. So I went straight in. I didn't even know what it was, but my gut was saying, this is like the internet. This is like the mobile phone. This is like an emerging tech, and you got to get in on it and ride that way. And with regards to where DeFi going to go, Jesus, it's like, look at traditional finance, right? It's been around for decades and decades and decades. So let's say traditional finance is at like level 1,000, right? DeFi is at level 2. So we are such. Crypto is so early, blockchain is so early, DeFi is even earlier, right? So trying to map where DeFi will go, I feel like we can try, but it's going to completely blow our minds, and I get asked this question all the time. Who knew where the internet would lead us? Who knew where personal computers would lead us? When personal computers first came out, you almost had to be a dev to run it. You'd be like, DOS prompting it or whatever. I can't remember what the term is, but you'd be going in like doing /this/that to try and find something on your computer. And then we had these little icons on the screen. And then, my God, when the mouse came out, that was like a goddamn revolution, right? So, and now we're all prompt engineers asking AI to do stuff for us, right? So who could have possibly have predicted that when personal computers came out? I mean, just before they came out, one of the guys who was heading up one of the biggest, I think it was IBM, I can't remember. There's a famous quote, one of the biggest computer organizations in the world said there's no reason for anyone to need to have a computer in their house, right? That was just a couple years before personal computers started being built. So trying to map where DeFi is going is really difficult, but it is going somewhere, and traditional finance is not going anywhere, right? It's going to become a dumpster fire, and you're going to want to try and debank yourself and get out of traditional, not be reliant on traditional finance, or at least be partially reliant on both. We will see everything that's happening in traditional finance with regards to the platforms and the protocols will be duplicated on DeFi. The big difference will be accessibility. So on DeFi, more people will be able to take part and build generational wealth, whereas in traditional finance, most of us are locked out of being able to earn wealth in that space. So DeFi is definitely going somewhere. If you look at DeFi 2 years ago, look at the difference in just 2 years, right? Massive difference. And I think it's really going to come into its own in the next bull run. And then I think it's just going to sort of build from there. But it's super exciting, super early. Don't expect decentralized finance to be organized like traditional finance or the stock market or any of that. That has had decades to mature. If you look at the stock market 2 years after, like stocks, when stocks started becoming a thing, if you look at it for the first sort of 5 to 10 years, it was a hot mess, right? And we'd expect an emerging tech to be very, very bumpy. And if it was easy and if it wasn't bumpy, everybody would be in it. It would be oversaturated and we wouldn't have the opportunity that we have now. So yes, we need to educate. Yes, we need to make it more professional. Yes, we need to make it easier, but that will come in its own time. I've already seen massive improvements across the space over the last 2 years. And I think as long as we keep heading in that direction, and as long as we get purely decentralized, because we have no DeFi at the moment, nothing's 100% decentralized. It's like a fallacy. There are stages of decentralized, but nothing at the moment. Look what's happened with Uniswap, asking for KYC and delisting Hex. Nothing is totally DeFi yet. So we just need to keep heading towards that.
I just wanted to follow up on something that you said, Irene. So, you spoke a little bit about the history of technology, I guess, like history of internet or just history of stock market. And you made a comparison that decentralized finance is really like a baby, right? That's learning how to walk in a way, right? So you can't really expect too much. We are still learning. We are still developing. We're in the process where, who knows what's going to be in 5 years? Probably something that we cannot even imagine right now. But if you think for example, about stock market, we are dealing here with regulations, for example. So this is one of the arguments that has been brought up, that stock market runs somewhat smoothly, well, arguably, because of regulations, of certain government regulations. And it seems that there is a push now, regulatory push, not only in the US. I know we have a lot of audience from the US, but we also have, decentralized finances for the world. It's for many places in the world, for everybody, really, whether you live in a small island nation or you live in the largest country in the world. But we do seem that the governments are trying now to regulate. So I recently read that IRS is trying to actually tax income from staking protocols the moment the stake is withdrawn from the protocol. Not the moment that it's exchanged for another token, not the moment that it's sold for fiat, but the moment, for example, if those of us that are in DRIP, so the moment you claim and you get several DRIP, that's the moment that the IRS wants to tax you on that claim. So there are a lot of government bodies all over the world that are coming with regulations. So I wanted to hear what you guys think in terms of regulating both cryptocurrency and DeFi. What are your thoughts? And do you also think whether or not it will be actually an impediment to the development of the space? Or do you see it as something positive?
That's a big question. I'm going to let someone else answer it before I weigh in. No?
Just trying to think. I guess, for me, like, if it's going to happen, I'm hoping that it's going to be a positive thing. You know what I mean? It's so hard to really comment and kind of know, but that's a tough one to answer.
Yeah. So
I think if it's like a mainstream thing and the government's trying to regulate it, then it could pose as something negative, because we probably have to eat even more taxes, and it could have to do more KYC and that sort of thing. So those are the types of things I want to stay away from, because we got things like the digital identity that's coming out, which really scares me, because all your info will be online, and then potentially cash could be eliminated. So we're like at the point where we could go either direction. So that's why it's really important to educate people on these things, because I really believe that people are going to be looking for some sort of solution, because there's a lot of issues going on. People, their money isn't spreading around like it used to. It's very hard for people to pay their bills, and people are just going to be looking for answers, and we got to be ready with resources and guides to be able to help these people, because we don't want these regulations, because it could potentially be harmful, especially if it's like a mainstream thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to be a bit of a bummer here and say that, look, regulation's important, because you won't get the bigger players in without the regulation, and we need the bigger players in to really have the space take off, right? For the short to medium term. For the longer term, there could be a lot of trouble. Just a note, though, the stock market is also a hot mess. I've lost more money on the stock market than I ever have in crypto through dodgy companies, personalities like, do something in their personal life and they happen to be the owner of the company. The stock plummets, very centralized, quite risky when you think about it. It's just very well organized. It looks very well organized, but it's not there that stock market's not there to help us. It's there to help people who are already wealthy. But it's a bit of a hot mess as well when you lift up the cover and have a look. Digital IDs, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, banks stopping us onboarding our fiat, banks trying to stop us debank ourselves. It's a whole thing that we do a lot of work on in the organization that I work for. It's called debt slavery. People who are in debt, whether it's because you've underpaid them, jacked up the price of things, or you've made them feel like they need the best car, the best house to keep up with the Joneses. When someone's in debt, they are a slave to you, because you got to work that shitty job to pay your bills or pay that car off. There's a phrase for it. It's called debt slavery, and it's something that has been around for decades, and it's able to be pursued through the traditional financial system, which we've seen. DeFi seeks to break that cycle, but it's going to be quite difficult when we have digital IDs and CBDCs. CBDCs are going to be potentially very destructive. We think about regulation as being like a really good thing. It provides stability, perceived stability. Who's making the regulations? Who's coming up with the regulations? The people who want you to be regulated, but they never have to abide by the regulations. So the regulators are the uber wealthy, the uber powerful, and they want to retain control. Regulation is all about control. It gives perceived organization, perceived safety, and it makes it look like things are packaged up with a bow, but there's a bomb inside the present, right? That is what regulation is. So we have to be very careful moving forward. There's some stuff we can do. There's a lot of stuff we can't do. But think about central bank digital currencies. Let's say you get paid that as your wage. It's programmable money. So you can get your wage and then they could put limits on it, like what time you have to spend it. And if you don't spend it, they'll withdraw it. Very easy to do with the CBDC. You can only buy food with 50% of your wage. If you try and go to the movies and you've already spent your allocated percentage of your CBDC wage on entertainment, then they might not think that's worth you spending your money on. They will pre-tax your income before it goes into the bank. They'll take out any fees. Maybe you got a parking fine that you want to dispute. Nah, that's already been taken out of your wage before it hits your bank or your wallet, right? They've already taken all of that out, and now it's your responsibility to go and lobby them to get that like $200 back for the parking fine that you didn't deserve. And then they go, oh, sorry, we think you did. And we've already got your money. And then you start tying that to digital IDs. And, very much like a Black Mirror episode that we've probably all seen, where you get credits for being a good citizen and you get credits taken away for being what they perceive as a bad citizen. And then maybe the way that you use your CBDCs are linked to that rating. So we start going down a very like dystopian path with CBDCs and digital IDs. And I think one of the solutions for that is true decentralization. If something is truly decentralized, there's enough of a decentralized system built around it. Those sorts of things are very difficult to regulate and they're very difficult to control because there's no one point that you can control. So I think we're still a fair way away from that sort of thing happening. Then we start talking about the de-dollarization of the US dollar and the crashing of fiat and that, which I think is still probably 10 or 20 years away. But people will talk as if it's tomorrow. These things take time to burn to the ground. So now's the time to be like getting ready for that. But I think people who are in DeFi, who have multiple wallets, who have diversified across a range of cryptos. I'm not a maxi in anything. I have nothing against maxis. I think that's fine. I am more a vanilla sort of person. I like to be diversified across a range of assets, including things that are not crypto, like real estate, gold, those sorts of precious metals and a few other things as well. But it's the people who are 100% reliant on their bank account and fiat. When the change comes, they're going to be the people that are most at risk because the government's going to go, change all your fiat to CBDCs and we'll give you 50% extra. And they'll be like, cool. You saw the people lining up to get their irises scanned for WorldCoin, right? You saw them lining up because of some free.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you a question, but Irene, you're already ahead of me here.
It's like have some free crypto and let us scan your eyeball. And then yesterday they said they're going to give governments and companies access to the data. So I don't get it.
That's crazy because I looked up the price of the token when that happened and it was like 1 cent. So they pretty much like gave themselves away by doing that for only 25 cents. Like seriously, that's crazy.
Yeah. So we're already seeing it happen. I've seen some countries outlawing WorldCoin, or I think that's what it's called, and saying that they don't want it operating in their country and stuff. Don't think that's because they're trying to protect you. That's because they want your eyeball information. They don't want WorldCoin to have it, right? But already we're seeing a bit of backlash against WorldCoin. But what shocked me was the number of people who were just like, yeah, whatever, I'll just give you all my data for 20 cents, no problems. Stupid.
So it's Irene, you almost, and let me see. You're almost insinuating that you think that the majority of the population will be, once CBDCs are introduced, that the majority of population will be like, oh yeah, sure, we accept it, no problem, let's do that. That's, you know, you're kind of arguing that majority of the people will be just status quo, you know, just go with the flow. And a minority.
Yeah,
Okay.
like if we were to go to CBDCs today, 90% of the population would go, oh, I get a few extra bucks from changing my fiat to like CBDCs. Well, I already use my FPOS card and my credit card and I've got e-money already. What's the difference? They don't even know what a CBDC is. If you go and look at the marketing for CBDCs, it's all lightness and joy, right? Nobody, a lot of people don't understand the undercurrent of what programmable money means. It can literally be withdrawn back out of your wallet at will by the person who put it there, right? So people don't understand that. Some people still think the world is flat. Some people think Bitcoin's going to die. Some people, like, there's a lot of inherent stupidity out there already with very simple concepts that have been proven. So now we get a concept coming in that's not proven, that has mystery surrounding it and that sort of thing. And we sit here thinking, oh, nobody would be silly enough to fall for that. Well, they will, because there's nothing countering it. We haven't had a chance to tell people the downsides of CBDCs. We are running weekly webinars on financial freedom, trying to educate as many people as possible about CBDCs and why, if it looks like it's going to be introduced, why we should be like arcing up about that and saying, no, we don't want CBDCs. Whether it works or not, I don't know, but there's got to be some resistance to it.
Yeah, well, Irene, you're already building a resistance movement against CBDCs. We already got our leader here. But I think this is really interesting. You know, it's interesting to talk about it, right? So, you know, assuming that people actually accept CBDCs and just fine with this, do you think that they will build in something like you cannot exchange CBDC for any other digital currency?
Yes.
Do you think that might be that's where it's going to go?
Yes. And they will program, like we were running some scenarios on if we wanted to control people with CBDCs, what would we do? And it got down to the very minutia where if you don't spend your money on these three companies, you will go to, I'm going to use an Australian example, sorry. You will go to Coles supermarket only because as a government, we have an agreement with them, they give a kickback. You won't be able to purchase, you have to purchase your car from here. If you don't use these, like 50% of your wage within the first week that you get it, we're withdrawing it back because you obviously don't need it, right? Like there's so many different scenarios where you can be controlled through a CBDC. Do I think they're all going to happen? I'd like to say no, but have a look at the state of control that our governments have over us. And I'm in Australia where the government has arguably a little bit less control over its citizens than other countries in the world. But we're already having problems with banks stopping withdrawals out to exchanges, and they're shutting down the ATMs here. And one of our banks has completely stopped dealing in cash. So you cannot go to the counter and ask for cash. You cannot deposit cash. You cannot take cash out with an ATM. So we are already heading down that path. Can you imagine you're 70, 80, 90 years old, you have your little passbook that you go to the bank, you go to the teller and you ask for 20 or 30 or $40 out. Nope, not with this bank. Like it's they're phasing it out and it's done for cash, and the other banks will follow. So I'm not very optimistic that the people in control will use their power wisely, because I've not seen that happen in the past.
So this is a very grim picture of the future that you depicted here. And as I was listening to that, I kind of thought we have many different movements and many different countries in the world that talk about independence and liberty and respect for individual rights. such philosophies are very predominant in the Western nations like Canada, United States, Australia, New Zealand, Western Europe. Do you really think that it would be easy to sort of impose? I mean, I would understand maybe some nations like China, maybe, or India, some of the BRICS countries that already have very, strong dictatorial regimes. It might be very easy to impose CBDCs there. But nations with very strong, I would say, libertarian leanings, do you really think it can actually happen in a place like Australia or United States?
All those countries you mentioned, they all persecute individual rights. They're all persecutors of rights. Maybe if you're a white old man, you're fine in all of those countries. But if you're a woman in America, in some of those states, you're done for, right? And you get accidentally pregnant, you're stuffed. If you're an Indigenous person in Canada or Australia, you're stuffed, right? These are all countries that have sought to impede the liberties of certain people. Now, in thousands or hundreds or whatever years' time, there won't necessarily be racism or sexism, or we're moving towards one culture, one color, multiple genders, all this sort of stuff, right? The way that people will be persecuted will be on social status, and social status will have to do with your wealth. So at the moment, most of those countries you mentioned do not do things that are beneficial to people who are on the poverty line or who are not wealthy. So in all those countries, it's not as obvious as maybe China and India and those other countries. They're very blatant with how they control their populations. Our countries are very passive, aggressive with how they control their populations. We're being controlled right now. I can't get my money from my bank to an exchange, right? And I'm not considered like one of the people that would be persecuted in my country, but I can't get my money from my bank to my exchange. If I go to the bank and try and take $500 out, they ask me what I want the money for, and if I don't tell them, they don't give me the money. Like, I'm already being controlled.
It's true. I really like how you brought this idea that racism and other types of biases or institutional prejudice might be actually replaced by discrimination based on the social status. I think this is a really interesting and valid idea. Do any of our other speakers have anything to add, since we are on this big big and grim picture of the future?
Just so you know, it's not all bad news. Like Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, it's going to be bad news for the people who aren't paying attention right now. But Bitcoin, DeFi, crypto, blockchain, there's always a way around everything, right? And we have some very, very clever people working on blockchain tech and in DeFi and, that sort of thing. And when you see me lose my shit in chats because people are asking when is drip going to $1, this is why, because you're all focusing on drip going to $1. Meanwhile, your governments and big corporates are putting these massive shifts in that are going to control your money. Doesn't matter if drip goes to $1. If you can't get your money out, if you can't use your money, there's massive things at play going on, very serious things that are going to change our lives. But think of people who have kids. Think about the way their lives are going to be changed. Like by the time all this shit goes down, I'll be dead. I won't care. But I've got a daughter and she's going to have to live through this. And I'm going to need to set her up so that she can have the best chance possible and have her family have the best chance possible. So I'm killing myself to build generational wealth because I'm thinking about what's coming down the line. I'm not thinking about myself. I don't need a friggin' Lambo, right? But my child needs to, I want my child to have a future. And I feel like this is the best way for me to do it. And that's the great thing about Drip. She has a wallet. She's learning about compounding interest. She's learning about market cycles. She knows who Gary Gensler is. She knows who the SEC is. She's 9 years old. You ask her anything about crypto and she'll answer it for you. She taught my parents, she set my parents up on Drip. She teaches them how to hydrate. She taught them how to claim. Drip is a great way to get your kids involved. Buy one drip. That's all it takes. And then hydrate to the next bull run. Who knows?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That you got your daughter into that and she's understanding it. Like, that's amazing. I love it. And it's so hard because, like, especially like in my area, like whenever me and Johnny Fawcett are like in a social gathering, we always talk about crypto, you know, and some people act kind of interested and other people like it's right over their head or they don't care about it type of thing. But it's always on our minds. So it's like, I don't know. I love talking about it and there's so much to learn and I still need to learn a lot as well, you know, and it's just one of them things where like, you know, once I got in, like, it's like, I just want to know everything, you know, because it's just, there's just so much. And it's good, Irene, that you're so knowledgeable and, you know, it's just everything that you're doing. It's just like, I hope someday I can be, you know, as knowledgeable as you, because it's amazing. It's great.
And you will be. And listen, I talk about crypto with people out in the real world and I've been called a scam artist and all sorts of different things. But I know, like, it takes something like 8 to 15 times to hear something for it to truly resonate with them. So every time we mention crypto, even if they go, that's a scam, that's only for criminals, you know, that sort of thing, they've still digested that information. And at some point that will click for them and they'll go, oh, yeah, I have heard that said a lot. Maybe I need to look into it. But most people follow mainstream media and they will only report on the crap, right? Every time there's an exploit, yeah, they'll talk about that. But it doesn't matter because they're still talking about it. That's all that matters. Like, there's no real negative press here. We just need to get the word out however we can. And then some people will never come around, and that's fine because they might not believe in crypto, but they're going to get stuck at some point, and then they'll have to believe in it. I tell people it's not the tooth fairy. Like, you don't have to believe in Bitcoin. It's right there. Like, you know, and some people will come a little bit too late. Some people will get in early. All I know is we are super early and we're super privileged to be in the space when many people are not. And we're all learning from each other. And I think it's such, even though like shit goes down in Telegram groups and this and that, I think it is really, for an emerging tech, it's actually a very positive environment. And you'll always get your people that are naysayers and are very negative. And for me, the more negative that someone is about something, the more I think, what are you earning from this? What are you gaining from this? Like, and I've spoken about this before, is if you're part of a group that is inherently nasty and negative, you need to think to yourself, what is being sold to me? What am I being used for? Because you're probably just a dollar notch in someone's belt. Very easy to sell stuff to people who are disgruntled. Very easy to corral them into a group, feed on that negativity, and then use them to profit and to gain. We've seen it happen in the past. I'm not going to mention what it was because it's a very unfair comparison, but we've seen this sort of thing happen before where the disgruntled are packaged into little groups and then sort of made to do something for somebody else's benefit. That's normal. Happens in real life, happens in the corporate world, happens in government. Of course, it's going to happen in crypto and DeFi because we are just a subset of the world, right? We're not different. We're not different people. We're a subset of what's already out there.
That's true. That's true. You guys hit on several important points, and we have like so many comments from people. people were actually going crazy as Irene was talking about CBDC and the future of DeFi. And I just wanted to maybe backtrack a little bit here. I think that Driptopian has an amazing comment here, how he was trying to buy a horse for his child, and the bank required a horse passport to prove that that's what he was withdrawing money for. This is, I think, hilarious. But I mean, you can laugh at it, but I think we should cry really at comments like this, right? Where somebody's going to withdraw, 500 from their account, and the bank is asking, why are you withdrawing? What are you doing with this? Show us the proof. Like, oh, okay. I actually experience, and I think some of the people in the US are experiencing that, maybe not necessarily with horses, I don't know, but with crypto, because I understand that some banks arbitrarily decided that you cannot use these banks to, for example, to transfer to Coinbase or Binance, and some banks actually halted such transfers of fiat. So this is definitely not news. Or, for example, when recently one of the family members was trying to do a real estate purchase and had large transfers into the checking account, they actually required proof where this money is coming from. What is this Binance US? What is it for? Where it's coming from? So those questions definitely are being raised, and I think this is maybe only the beginning of it. I don't know, did anybody else want? We have so many amazing comments that I think I am behind here. Some other comments that a lot of people made comments that, Irene, about you setting up your daughter with the Drip wallet and her teaching her grandparents, I think you said. So people said that it's really important to think about our next generation, what kind of world we are setting them, what we are teaching them. And a lot of people mentioned here that they are setting their children with Drip wallets. So maybe this is a nice segue for us to maybe talk about specific projects, if you guys, of course, don't mind. Irene mentioned Drip, so I think everybody on this stream is an investor and active community member of the Drip ecosystem. So maybe Drip, maybe both Drip and Animal Farm. And a lot of you got into DeFi because of Drip. Maybe Irene is a little bit different because she seems like she really has a lot on her plate in terms of different projects. But I didn't start with Drip. I started with some other projects, but I found Drip like pretty quickly once I got into DeFi. So I think that, and it really changed my DeFi experience, because I was not really being successful with those other projects that I'm, not going to name here. And this was the first project that I felt was profitable, successful, and trustworthy. So some other projects that I was in, they were maybe trustworthy, but not so successful and not necessarily profitable. But I think Drip hit all those, like it was successful, it was profitable, and it was safe. So I don't know if anybody wants to maybe talk a little bit about their Drip experience, since we also have actually a lot of people here from our audience from the Drip community, and a lot of people are talking about what's recently happening in Drip. Hopefully we can talk more, but I just wanted to hear you guys, maybe your thoughts about Drip, where are you in Drip? And if you want to share about some other projects that you're in, that's fine too.
Well, let's give a shout out to Josh, who's in the chat, because he's the one that came up with DDD, and I know he worked with Ray and all that sort of stuff, but he's the brains behind that concept. And he copped a heap of shit working on that. When DDD. You know what? When you're worried about something, think about, will this matter in a year's time? Will this matter in a year's time? Will it matter in a year's time that DDD came out 6 months after it was supposed to? No, it won't. So he copped a lot of flack. People are not kind. Some of the people in our community are not kind. And he held his head up high the whole way through, and like they worked to get it all out. So big props to Josh for that. There's a lot of things people want to talk about with DDD and drip, but what I will say is part of my role is to look at DeFi protocols and look for opportunities to give them to our research team, who then go and do the in-depth research. If it ticks certain boxes, then it gets flagged to our community as being something that they might like to consider investing in because we've looked at it in depth. And I can say that I lose track of time, but maybe over the last year and a half, I've probably looked into over 50 protocols, DeFi protocols, all the ones from farming to passive income, all the drip forks, Splassive, Piston, Zombie on Clayton Network. Like, we've looked at many of them. One of them went through to clients, and that was two of them went through. One was Piston. I can't remember the other one. But all of them are dead, whether they were slow rugged, purposefully rugged, actually exploited, but actually rugged, right? All of them are gone, except for a handful, right? And even those ones are not doing well either. And the issue is, like you said, Crypto Professor Girl, there's a lot of elements to make a DeFi platform work. It needs to be safe, so it needs to be secured, and you need to be clever about the code. And you need to foresee exploits that have never been done before, right? So we're not going, oh yeah, these exploits in traditional finance, we should be catering for those, or in developing, or if I hear one more time, I'm a software developer of 40 plus years and I know how these things work. No, you don't know how these things work. I've been in software for 25 years. It's not software as we know it. It's not developing as we know it. It's developing on an emerging tech. So they're looking for things that we don't even know about, trying to secure them from those exploits. So it has to be secure. It has to resonate with users. It has to be promoted or marketed well, or be given to an already established community. Which is why you see a lot of these drip forks or these add-ons to drip, add-on to drip, because it's not because of drip, it's because of community, because you've got a ready-made community there that can support it. Whether it's shit or not needs to be determined, but you've got the community, you've got the word drip in your project, so it's going to garner attention, right? So there's a lot of elements that have to come together. So you can have an amazing protocol that's just amazing, but you can't get it off the ground because you don't have the ability to market or just have it get traction, right? So, and then you have a really crappy platform, but you have an ability to get it traction. And then there's the ones that get exploited. And then there's the ones that are being built by unscrupulous people because they want to make a buck. So it is harsh out there, especially for people who are interested, like me, in medium to long-term DeFi. I'm not a trader. I'm not about short-term gains. I'm crap at it. I don't want to be involved in that space. And at the moment, DeFi is about getting in early, taking profit, and getting out before it dies or dumps or gets exploited. And I'm really not about that. And I'm not about spruiking those platforms to our community either. So when you try and find platforms that you have confidence in, that at a fundamental level are sound and are things that may not take off in the bear market. I don't know what that is. They may not take off in a bear market, and nor should they, because bear markets are all about accumulation for the bull. But I look for projects that are being worked on and built during the bear market, because they're the ones that are going to come to fruition in the bull. There's not many of those around that I feel safe putting my money in until the next bull run. So they're the ones I look for. They're very few and far between. But if you're looking for things that are launching, get in early, snipe, whatever, then get out, like meme coins, pump and dumps, miners, If you got a lot of cash and a lot of time and you're quick with the mouse button, there's a lot of things you can get involved in, but they're not the things I look for. So it's very few and far between for platforms where I'll actually say, I'm happy to have my money on that platform.
Thank you so much, Irene. What about the other two girls? What about DeFi Diva?
I was just looking at the comments, and Electrician Man, I don't know if you girls heard about F the Rug. He was going to start. Have you heard of that? I think that right there is going to be amazing. You know, and I think that's going to be super helpful. And just like he was saying, you know, it's something where the devs can come on there too and make their argument, like, okay, so why is it a rug or whatnot, or why isn't it a rug, right? And you know, it's the community can be involved, and I just think that's huge. And when he, you know, had us on his live stream and he told us about that, I said, that's what we need. You know, it's got to be more safe, like Irene was saying. It's, you know, it sucks to see that, you know, people out there do that, where, you know, you have these rug pulls and stuff. It's one of them things where, you know, that scares people away, right? So, I mean, Drip, thank God for Drip, right? You know, super safe, and, you know, look at the community, like, it's huge. And I just think that, you know, the rug is going to be something that is really going to help DeFi come along.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
CPG, you have some back, or there's some robot voices or croaking or something from you. Wondering if there's something going on with your mic. CPG.
Do you hear cracking or anything?
Yeah. When you talk, there's some crackle or something. It's really hard to, yeah. While you're sorting that out, I'd just like to point out that the scams, non-crypto blockchain related scams, far outweigh the crypto ones. And like I said, we're a subset of society. So you have a lot of scams happening in, I call it real life, but you know what I mean. So it's only to be expected that you would get those shysters in crypto as well. And it's arguably a little bit easier to scam on an electronic forum, like online and that sort of thing. But Electrician Man is heading that initiative for F the Rug. I don't mind swearing, but just in case our audience is sensitive. And we do some of that already where I work. So we are going to talk to him, to Danny, and try and join forces as well, because the thing with this is it's safety in numbers. So everyone has a different skill that they can bring to it, and to really look at whether something's going to be dangerous or not, you need to have a certain skill set. And no one person has that skill set. So you have to bring a bunch of people together to get the job done. And even if you do tick it off as being something that, I'll say safe, but nothing's ever safe in life. And it is like safe. It may not be. And the only way to truly protect yourself is to diversify. So you need to diversify across different assets, and you need to also diversify your wallets, guys. Like if your MetaMask gets compromised at a foundation level, they have access to the 50 accounts that you've opened up in there. Have multiple shells, have multiple accounts, have single-use accounts where, you know, if you want to connect to Pink Sale or anything that's potential, or an exchange or a bridge, you should be doing that on a dedicated account and then moving the funds over. You know, these are simple things that you can do so that if something gets hacked or something gets compromised, because it will, if you have not been hacked or compromised in crypto yet, your time is coming. It will happen. So you need to protect yourself against that. So, you know, other than the use a VPN, have anti-malware, have antivirus, don't plug your phone into the airport charger, don't use hotel Wi-Fi. Like, apart from all that very basic stuff, you should be diversifying your funds, and you shouldn't be using one wallet with 50 accounts on it. You should have multiple wallets, multiple devices, you know, to try and spread your risk. So if one thing gets compromised, it's not the end of the world. You've got these other things that you can focus on.
Facts. Thank you so much. This is, I think all of us need to hear, and all of us need to be better in that for sure. I know I need to be better, but I think this is really good message. Kind of a little bit backtracking. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on with the microphone.
And now it's gone. We can't hear you anymore. I think the wiring in your mic might be weird because every time you move it, something different happens.
I think so too.
Yeah. Oh, what's a stream without something going wrong? It would be boring. Can I hear you boring?
Oh, we lost CBG.
And I didn't hear enough to know where she was going because then I could have.
I know. Right.
Are you back? I don't know. Oh, turn it off and on again.
I have a question for you, Irene. Do you use a ledger? Or what do you think of ledgers?
I think hard wallets are a great idea. I do use one. And we do recommend that to our community, and we do have training on how to use it. Because they can be quite tricky when you're trying to use one. It adds another element of, I'm going to say inconvenience, but that's not the word I'm looking for. But it also adds another layer of safety as well. So I think they're a great idea. You just need to be careful how you're buying them, because we have had people compromised where they've bought a hardware wallet from what they thought was a legitimate supplier, and it's actually been included with malware and it's taken all their crypto. And you think that's rare. It's not. I've seen it probably 20 times where a brand new in the packet hardware wallet has been compromised. So just be really careful where you buy them. Don't go cheap. Don't go cheap on your hardware wallet.
Yeah, we've always said that as well. Like, don't ever don't get scammed with them. That's even worse.
Yeah. So yes, I do absolutely recommend hardware wallets. If you have a lot of crypto and it's worth a lot, you might like to start looking at air-gapped systems and cold storage and that sort of thing. You know, when you have, you know, Michael Saylor doesn't keep his Bitcoin on a ledger, right? So when you start accruing a lot, then you need to start looking at different ways to store it, to keep it safe.
Absolutely, I agree. I think we lost her.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. This is why I don't host. I'm like, somebody asked me a question. Does anyone have a question? Does anyone in the chat have a question? Now's your chance. Ask away.
Ask away.
Just don't ask when drip's going to $1 because I'll lose my shit.
Oh,
I can't see anything coming. Oh, they're still giving CPG advice. They obviously want it back.
poor thing. I did tell her too. I said, "Don't worry." I said, "You know, things," because she's never done it before. I said, "Things can go wrong." I said, "It happens."
Yeah, it's super stressful. Oh, bigwig, you're such a cheeky person. Well, let's quickly talk about DDD because I'm exhausted. Like, I didn't get up for launch because I'm way too old for that.
Absolutely.
But I did get up early. Just the vibe of the community. I did win one of the jackpots, which
you did. Awesome.
I did.
Yeah, congrats.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. There was no one home at the time, and I was like crying and screaming, and Lady Mania was on the other side of the chat, so she had to cop it. Because I had literally no one to share it with. I was going to call my parents, and then I was like, oh, they know what the faucet is, but they don't know what DDD is, so they're not going to understand.
Right.
But yeah, just the exhilaration and also just taking part. The seamless way you can buy tickets, the sentiment in the community. I know there's people like, oh, but what are we going to do when this and DDD is going to cause this and all of these sort of things. And I'm just like, give it time to settle. We're on day 2 or 3, maybe. I've lost all track of time. And I think we just need to see how things play out. DDD is not the be all and end all of drip either. There's other things coming. There's DDD for reservoir. There's other community-led initiatives coming up. You know, it's not the end. DDD is not the end. I know a lot of people were expecting it to do certain things, and that's their issue for mismanaging that. And also we couldn't foresee also some of the things that the big sell-offs and some of the massive things that were happening that were slightly suspicious. But anyway, no one, you can make educated guesses based on maths, based on previous behavior and that sort of thing. But no one's got a crystal ball. No one knows how these things are going to work out. But what I will tell people is DDD is just one step, one sort of step in a long journey that I see Drip and Animal Farm having. So, and it's fun. It's brought a gamified element to Drip, which is really important because it's fun, because you can use it to promote Drip. It's easier to promote when you're talking about gamification. It's easy to onboard people. I started a new wallet with it and I was blown away by, you know, when I won, I just went in and it was already my faucet. And I was like, all I had to do was buy some tickets and put a buddy address in.
That's,
you know,
awesome.
So it's great. It's a very, very good forward. We've now got 1% going into a marketing budget, which is great. People are like, why haven't we started using the marketing budget yet? I'm like, cool your jets. It's only day 2. Like, we've got to let it sort of build up. And then, you know, we all know that Forex doesn't like spending money on stupid shit. So he needs to like make sure that whatever we spend that marketing budget on is clever and appropriate and what the ecosystem needs. So so just give it some time, let it all settle in. Maybe the jackpots aren't as big as you thought they would be at this present time, but it's still Drip. You're still winning. You can still win. You're still helping the ecosystem every time you buy a ticket. Give some tickets and get some people in. Like, this is a perfect opportunity. No risk, no upfront capital to be able to get people into Drip. And who knows where it'll be from here to the bull run of like 2024.
Absolutely. I love DDD. I've played a couple times already and it's fun, right? It's a chance to win and it's like, why not? It helps Drip. I mean, it's a win-win.
Yeah, right. It is. And it's just seeing like people win and the joy that it brings, and it's sort of nice to see that sentiment in the chats. Obviously, we still have our detractors and that sort of thing, and that's okay. It's people want to make crypto a nice, comfortable, safe space. Is the world a nice, comfortable, safe space? No, it is not. So we like to find comfort and security in our houses, sometimes in our workplaces, with our little group of friends or our family. That's what you have to do in crypto. Don't go to the Drip main chat. Don't go to one of the bigger Telegram chats and expect to feel all warm and fuzzy and comfortable. These are the groups that are going to be, you know, some of them are asking legitimate questions. Some of them are asking questions that are cloaked in passive-aggressive FUD. It's very hard sometimes to see the difference unless you've been around that chat for a while and you know who the people are. Shout out to Ladies of the Faucet, Lady Mania, Ants Girl, and the others that are constantly in that Drip main chat, you know, keeping it in check, as check as possible. Huge toll on mental health working in that chat. I was in there for a while, and then I decided my time was better spent in the peripheral chats where there's still quite a bit of animosity, but shout out to them. So, yeah, find your people, find your space. They're out there, and take comfort in that, because if you're trying to make crypto a place where everybody is respected, where everybody is kind, and where there are no opposing sides, it's just not going to happen, because that's not society. So we can work towards it, but don't be discouraged or surprised if it doesn't pan out that way. You find your people, and you stick there, and you get supported there. Is my
Yes, I think it's important to have people around you that are genuinely supportive, because it helps everybody involved in that situation. And when you're around people like that, it's going to help you with your personal goals as well. And you want people around you that are going to be uplifting and encouraging, because it's going to lift your energy and vibrations. And then when your energy and vibrations are lifted, then you're going to feel encouraged and motivated to want to help others around you too. So you're going to be able to spread it around, and you can just keep planting those seeds. And it's very important, to have a group, because it's harder to achieve like big goals if you're trying to do it alone. So, it's very important to have that community around you.
Yeah, agreed. CPG's back in the house.
Yes, thank you so much, girls, for holding the fort down for me. And I'm really sorry about this. I don't know, like my whole system just stopped responding.
Oh.
So
You sound so much clearer now.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but yeah, maybe those meth heads, or maybe the government, maybe the government was trying to get to me. The CIA, maybe CIA was trying to keep tabs on me here. But I heard, I was listening to you guys a little bit, while I was trying to connect, and I think you gave amazing advice in terms of strategies and drip and the DDD. But I might have missed something. Did you guys talk about potentially like what you are doing in DDD? And maybe if you can advise people, like what would be like good strategy for somebody right now?
I think the strategy is really dependent on your own personal circumstance and what you're trying to achieve. Like I'm using it as an easy way to onboard people. I'm using it as a way to gift tickets. I'm also buying my own tickets, sacrificing with fresh capital. And also, what else am I doing? Yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. I see a lot of people trying to snipe for biggest depositor and biggest sacrificer, and I love that. I love that element of gamification. I knew it was possible, but I didn't think it would be a major play, but it actually is. People are sitting there waiting for the countdown. The adrenalists must be crazy sitting there trying to snipe. So then you get these people who they're the ones that want to snipe in first on a launch. They're the ones that are like traders who are high adrenaline. So this is something that I've not seen in other raffles and lotteries that have been attempted in DeFi, is this added element of the sniping. Like it's so clever. Shout out to Josh. It's so clever to have this sniping element. It's really exciting, even if you're not the one sniping, to sort of hear it in the chats and see it all go down. So I really love that element, but I'm not partaking in that because I'm just crap at it. But I love gifting tickets, and I love getting people into drip with no initial investment. So they've got nothing, absolutely nothing to lose. You can get, like, this is a great thing about drip as well. Just buy one drip, even when drip was $180. The initial outlay to get into drip can be as small or as big as you want it to be, and then you just ride that wallet out or take profit or whatever. But you start, it's just a matter of hydrating and keeping the wallet moving.
Exactly.
I was on Twitter Spaces last night with Drip to Wealth, who is here right now, and I was sharing my strategy. So I'm actually using one of my Max wallets to seed a smaller wallet through the DDD, where instead of airdropping the option that was available, I guess, or still available, but was available in the past. Now I'm using DDD gifting function to that small wallet to essentially, like I contributed, 25% to the goodness of the system, and 75% goes to my little wallet. So maybe people who have max out wallets can, consider this strategy maybe in the past they were not sure what to do. Maybe they didn't want to sell at this price. Maybe they didn't want to use the farm options. Maybe they don't like the garden. Maybe they don't like the GBUSD farm. But now they have something else where they have an extra mechanism for the max out wallets.
Yeah, okay. Josh just said in the chat that the biggest depositor sacrifice surprises was actually Ray's idea. So apologies for that. That was Ray's idea.
Okay.
I thought it was Josh's, but that's all right. I'm sure they work together on a lot of things. And I see that they're working on, I just saw it very briefly, sacrificing stuff directly to the prize wallet.
Yes.
I think there's some initiatives to do that. The funniest thing is, right, the round that I won, Josh actually did that. He sacrificed some drip directly into the prize wallet, and then I won it. So I thought that was like very serendipitous that you know, because we're both in Australia, we know each other. But yeah, it was.
Congratulations for winning.
You should have given me the drip straight up, Josh, but doesn't matter.
Yeah, you guys, I think maybe already did your gratitude part, but you know, I wasn't here, so I do want to thank everybody who was involved, from Josh to Ray's team. Maybe there are some people that we are not even aware, and of course all the new developers that were brought. I think G or Grant and Sasha, and of course our project manager, the big project manager who oversaw everything Forex. And maybe people that we don't even know, you know, maybe that I'm even not aware of the names, but all the people that worked really hard over the past 6 or 7 months to create this and to make it happen. And of course, many people that I see here were in the testing group. So thank you also for all the testers. Who else? Driptopian, I think, was involved. Lady Mania, I don't know, Irene, maybe yourself were involved as well in the final stages of testing. And
I was as well.
Yeah, there was a lot. It was a real community effort. Shout out to Ricky for the wiki, because that's really informative. There was so many people contributed, and this is what having a community is all about, is everyone rolls their sleeves up when called to action and just does what needs to be done and puts some blood, sweat and tears into it. And it's so inspiring to see. We have a great community. Like, when people are whining and detracting, that's only a very small percentage, but they're very loud, right? But it's only a tiny, tiny part of our community. So just focus on the positives of the community that's been built around Drip and Animal Farm, and how exciting if we do a chat like this in a year's time, where we'll be. I can't even wrap my head around it. So
exactly, that'd be awesome.
The question here, if maybe you guys don't mind answering, from Kryptonite, Drip to Wealth. How is everyone interacting with the OG faucet now? So are you guys still interacting with the original faucet? What are you doing? Maybe if you would be willing to share your strategies.
I am, like, I kind of go back and forth. I play around, you know, DDD obviously, and then the garden. I use the new website, and then I use the old website too. I use both, really. No real strategy or anything. I just kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, I'm just doing the normal stuff with my wallets. Like, my aim, everyone has their own strategy and their own aims. My aim is to go into the bull market, like late 2024, early 25, with a bunch of accumulated assets. I also, one of my biggest strategies is Animal Farm and that passive income from there. That we haven't even seen the potential of that platform yet, even in a bear market. But I still use the faucet. I still love it. Yeah. I do some DDD and I do some faucet. And when people ask me about strategies, it's so highly individualized. But really, my main thought is just make sure you've got more than one faucet on a different wallet, on a different device, because I've seen so many compromised drip wallets, nothing to do with drip, more to do with something that's happened with the device or a connection to a phishing site. So just make sure that whatever you're doing in crypto, build redundancy in, and that's the best advice I can give.
Is anybody in the drip garden?
Yeah,
I am.
I am.
Like I have, I think 1, 2, 3. I have 3 gardens.
Oh wow, nice.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
you're all
I only
over
have
the
one garden.
Yeah.
I'm at like 50 billion plants, and I have one garden as well.
I have
Wow.
9 billion plants.
Yep.
Wow. The good thing about the garden is, well, the cons are it's a miner. And even though it's one of the best miners I've seen with regards to how it was launched and the fairness around how it was launched, which is very different to other miners. Probably the only other miner I'm in is BNB miner, and that's been around for quite a bit longer. And we've seen that go very slow and then peak up. And the people who have kept compounding have gotten rich off those 2 peaks. I'm not saying the garden miner is going to do the same thing, but in the end, it is a miner, and you've got to make sure you've got your strategy right with ROI and taking profit on it. But when you create an LP, it's very sensitive to the price action of one of the tokens in there. So people ask me, why is the garden down? And I'm like, DCA in if you want, like that helps, obviously, but it's down because drip is down. So if you think about what might happen when drip goes up, then you can start thinking about the power of the garden. But miners are things that we don't recommend to our community. We don't recommend miners, just because the fact that it's very reflective of the community's behavior as well. And it's very hard to finesse a good strategy and stick to it. It's very touch heavy with a miner. So we usually don't recommend them to our community, who are mostly no coiners and starting out in crypto, and you just don't want them to. If they want to, we will support them, but it's not one of our passive income recommended strategies, because it is one of the more higher risk plays. And the one thing that sort of nobody's mentioned now in terms of keeping yourself safe is making sure that you only put in what you're willing to lose. So if you're scared about price action, or that means you've probably overcommitted, or put stuff in that you couldn't afford to lose, or you thought that you were going to put it in and get $1 million out or something. And look, that does happen in crypto, but it's not something you should be relying on or counting on. Don't quit your day job until you've got 5 years of wages under your belt, right? That's what people who say, I'm going to quit my job. I'm like, cool. Well, when you got 5 years worth of wages under your belt, then you can start thinking about it. Until then, just keep your day job.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I heard another kind of related point, that you should calculate how many more working years you have. So it could be, of course, 20, 30 years, 40, depending upon how old you are. Then you have to calculate how much you would get at your job for whatever working years. Plus, you also have to factor in what government is paying for you, like maybe in the US, Social Security, maybe in other countries, like some sort of pension. What would you have gotten if you stayed, like pension, Social Security? What about healthcare? Maybe some other benefits. So calculate your whole package, what you would have earned for the next, however many years, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And then once you get to that figure, then you're absolutely safe.
And don't rely on any government pensions either, because they do not keep up with the cost of living anyway. But also, as we see things start to crumble, we may see potential disruptions in governments as well. So also don't be reliant on any government handouts or pensions. But I know what you're saying, like you want to calculate as if you had got them. But for anyone who's relying on a government-funded retirement or that sort of thing, just make sure you think about what would happen sort of if that wasn't there. And also if you can stand continuing to work while you still have that in you, then I I often say to people, maybe go part-time, maybe look for a job in an industry that you much prefer. Maybe it pays a little bit less, but it's a good idea while you can to keep earning money off someone else that you can then invest into your future. So everybody's circumstance is different, but you really need to think about it.
There are a couple of comments that I wanted to bring to you guys. One, there was a comment about reservoir. So we talked, I think you guys already talked while I was gone, that DDD is helping us to fill the tax wall, to stop us from minting. We've been, kind of really concerned as a community about high minting and the impact of it on the health of the ecosystem. So right now, all this money is going to the tax vault. I think it hasn't minted now for 2 days. I don't know how many hours, but approximately 2 days. So everybody's excited about that. This is definitely a positive step in maintaining or stabilizing the price. But I think Ant's girl was the one who said, let's talk about reservoir. So
Yes.
I was thinking maybe we can touch upon reservoir, what maybe we should be doing with reservoir, how we can responsibly support the system by investing in reservoir. I don't know if Emmett is here or not, but I also shout out to the Staff the Res team that have been working, and I know Ladies of the Faucet also been working with Emmett really hard on Staff the Res campaign. So let's talk about reservoir, the role of it in the system, why we should be investing in it, and kind of just your thoughts on reservoir. I don't know who wants to go first.
Who's in the reservoir?
I'm unfortunately not in the reservoir yet.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, it's look, it's a completely different play for different reasons. You still can earn passive income on being part of the reservoir. I've got some stuff in the reservoir. It's about giving back and providing a little bit more stability for drip. But you obviously still can make a buck out of it. It's not like a charity or anything, but I think it's an oft forgotten part of the ecosystem because it's potentially a little bit less sexy than the other ones, but I think we probably do need to keep educating about the reservoir, and Emmett and the rest of the people who really push that stuff the res are doing a great job. And it's definitely made a big difference. I think when sort of the DDD element comes into play, it will be easier because people like things being gamified, right? It brings an element of something that people like. So I think I know that they're working on something for that now, and I think when that comes out, it'll really boost that. But until then, we need to get the word out through the Stuff the Res. They have great promotional images and stuff that we can all be circulating. And if you've got a considerable amount of drip, you should be looking at investing in the reservoir.
So big shout out to all the people behind the campaign, Emmett, Aunt's Girl, and Legacy. They are the Staff the Reservoir custodians, and the original idea came from the Dragon Club Telegram group. So thank you, everybody. Joshua is trying to ask Emmett if he can join. Emmett is here in the house. So basically, my understanding is that, and maybe we can get Emmett comment here, or Ant's Girl. So my understanding is that in order for us to have the not only the stabilization of the price, but increase of the price, essentially, we would need to keep working on adding to the reservoir. And I don't know if maybe Emmett or Ant's Girl can add anything here, but yes, it's not as sexy. So everybody likes the faucet, right? It's very sexy. It gives 1%. So Ant's Girl's been in reservoir here, she says, since September 2021. So it's not as sexy, but it not only supports our price, it increases our price. And there are calculations out there that showing that, for example, if BNB was if we had so many more drops, I guess, right, in the reservoir, and the BNB price, for example, went back to what it was originally, our price of DRIP, the price of our native token, would be 2 or 3 times as high. And please, Ants Girl or Emmett, correct me if I'm wrong here, or Irene. But my understanding is that we as a community, we need to rally around not only DDD, but also Reservoir currently, because we don't have Reservoir Layer 2 yet, right? Where there are talks about building Reservoir Layer 2 for the DDD, but we don't have it yet. So I think it is upon, okay, we got very interesting comment here. So fountain drip price. So fountain BNB supply divided by the fountain drip supply multiplied by the current BNB price. So yeah, that's how we get our price. So yes, it's a function of the reservoir, how much stuff we have in the reservoir. So I guess I'm going to do this plug. So please consider starting the reservoir. You can participate in the lottery. I believe it's only 0.1 BNB that you need to deposit in order, and they do, again, please correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's every week that there is a drawing, correct? Every week there is a drawing for the stuff, the reservoir. So let's continue supporting this. And then we have more people here. We have Moonshot, I think, that joined somewhere that I maybe missed. Okay.
Yeah, so it's 0.1 BNB post-tax every Monday, 300 drips. So, and Driptopian's out at, it's 2 a.m. where he is. Thank you, Driptopian. That's a massive effort. Yeah, so getting to the res, like these competitions that are running each week where you just have to put the 0.1 BNB, that is like the forerunner to DDD, right? You get to put some money in, you get to have the chance to win something. So if you win, you win, and if you lose, you win, because you still earn on what you've put into the reservoir. So it's a more rudimentary form of DDD, but it's definitely something that people can participate in until such time as layer 2 for the res comes out. So let's do that.
Yeah, so right now the numbers is that currently we have 2.68K in reservoir. So we need about triple that amount in order to get the price up to $1. So
that's achievable. That is achievable. If everyone contributes a little bit. And I know that has gone up a lot since Emmett and his team and Ants Girl and Legacy, they all started this campaign. It's made a massive difference for the reservoir. So let's just keep that momentum going. It's a good initiative.
So I am in reservoir too. I'm bad though. I put like 2 BNBs months and months ago. I've been compounding them, but I haven't put more since then. So I guess we all should look at ourselves in the mirror.
Absolutely. Especially if you're like got a max wallet or you've got a substantial amount of drip. It's almost a disservice not to be in the reservoir to try and help support the ecosystem. But also, you are earning on that money in the reservoir, and you are by pumping up the reservoir, pumping up your own bag. So, like I said, it's not a charity, but we all should be, like any whales, should be looking at going in. And even if you're not a whale, and you've ROI'd and you've made a little bit of profit, maybe you might like to think about putting some money in the reservoir. Again, it's diversifying your portfolio as well.
Yeah, so we did the shout out to the DDD. We did the shout out to the reservoir, right? Thank you all, wonderful people behind behind the DDD, behind the stuff reservoir. So thank you all. Thank you to Emmett and Ants Girl and Legacy, everybody who's been working hard on that. So let me see. Do you guys have any other concluding thought about drip? I know we talked a lot about it, but what's anything else maybe you want to share specifically about drip?
think we've covered a lot. I'm looking forward to Animal Farm version 3, the dog pound NFTs. I'm psyched for that. Like, I think it's now DDD's out. There's a lot of other stuff that's going to be coming out. And if you saw Forex in the chat yesterday, I think he was in Crypto Winner's Circle. He was really, really excited about some lending idea that came to him at 3 a.m. in the morning. So he's pumped for some of these longer term plays that are going to be helpful for DeFi as a whole, not just our ecosystem. And I think that's amazing that out of this community could come something that changes and steers the direction of DeFi, which is incredible. And he said, we're all pioneers. He said in the AMA notes, where we are all in this community, we are all part of the future. And I thought that was like so on point.
I guess we will have very interesting stories to tell our grandchildren, right?
Yep, for sure. And Phil said, be patient and let that man cook. Yep. So now his job is to, well, it always has been to get stuff moving, you know, and it's up to us to provide that peripheral support. So if you don't think that you're doing anything to support, you probably are. If you're helping someone start a wallet, or you're saying something positive about the ecosystem, or you're spitting facts at someone that is maybe fudding or trying to misinform, that's all helpful. We're all on the periphery and we're all able to help in some way. And I think that's the beauty of it, is we can all help in some way.
So it seems that there is apparently a VC happening in a couple of minutes. I was not aware of it, but so if you guys maybe, I don't want to cut anybody, but you know, I was thinking, do you guys have anything else that you want to share with the audience for the next couple of minutes? Anything else? By the way, I would like to thank all three of you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for persisting through my technical difficulties here with my CIA trying to cut on our stream. You know, thank you to all the listeners, of course, as well for the community support. But anything else that you guys want to add before we wind down?
No, just thank you for everyone in the chat. Amazing support from some big hitters there in the chat, which is amazing to see. Someone asked about the next bull run. Bitcoin halving is May, I think, 2024. So expect a bull run after that. So probably latter part of 2024, early part of 2025. Probably the bull phase will start winding down at the end of 2025. Don't quote me on any of this. I don't have a crystal ball, but based on what we've seen in the past, we could be triggered into an early bull if we get ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs approved. That could trigger us into an early bull run. So we're already in a bull phase. We're already at the start of the bull cycle. When Pepe went off and everyone was throwing money at it, that was pretty much a sign that sentiment had shifted. But there's still time, but don't take for granted that it'll be middle next year, thinking you've got like a year under your belt, because we could be triggered into an early bull. And that's all I have to say. But thank you, CPG. Thank you for hosting. It's incredibly stressful role, so thank you for that. And we should do these more often.
Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Do you DeFi Diva or Big Beauty, any departing thoughts?
Thank you for having me on the show.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, girl. Thank you for having me on the show. It's awesome. I just love listening to you, Irene. You were very knowledgeable and insightful, I think, and you are a very strong educator in the space. So it's amazing being in the space with you. We need strong women like you. And then CPG, DeFi Diva, you guys are amazing as well. You guys are also strong leaders in this community. You guys put in the work to help in any way you can, and it's absolutely beautiful. And the outlook for drip is very bullish. I'm very excited that DDD is here, and I think things are gonna get real crazy in a good way in the future.
Okay, great. So let's support. Let's try. Every one of us has been supporting, of course, the project, but let's keep doing it. Let's be ambassadors. I guess we are ambassadors, right? Ambassadors of the project. And I would like to have all of you, whenever, of course, you have time. I would like to continue doing the Women in DeFi series. I would like to thank all of you guys. I also would like to thank my family who's been supporting me in this endeavor. And I have somebody who is very close to me who actually has COVID right now. And I would like to wish them well. And for now, I guess I'm going to end the broadcast. But if you guys can stay just for a minute, if that's okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I had so much fun with you girls and hope to do it again sometime.
Great.
And also, really quick, if you ever guys want to be on our live stream, Crypto Unlimited 22, we do a live stream on DeFi on Saturday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. So you guys are always welcome. All right. And we just talk about everything, crypto, everything. So.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you. Oh, absolutely. So please, whoever is still in the audience watching us, please don't forget to join the Crypto Unlimited 22 weekly broadcast. Okay,
Thank
great.
you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. I'm going to end broadcast and we'll stay with you guys for a second. Thank you. Bye-bye.